Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Aussie Rules Show, brought to you by GameDay Squad. We are here today to break down the round that just was and preview the next round, which will be round 7, which starts this week a little early, which I'm pumped about, Cal. I don't know about you, but Wednesday footy's weird, but I'm all for it. I'll tell you what, I'm down.
Yeah, good to be here. I was pretty excited when I saw we had a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday game this week. Caught me off guard. I was thinking, what's happening? But yeah, then we found out we got Thursday off as well. So double win. How good? Footy day off and the footy's on. So how good?
The absolute best, man. I can't lie. I'm so pumped. So we've only got to wait a couple of days to get into it. So why don't we get straight into it with everybody here? Let's go through our rounds. And Cal, I need to make it known. Guess who's back? Guess how you need to respond. You know, when your back is against the wall and the haters come at you, when the going gets tough, you come out and deliver your best ranking. Yeah, you come out and get third place. Third rank for the round, Cal. I'm going to take it away this week because I am so pumped about it. I'm glad you can be a good sport because last week was tough to sit here. You were on your high horse, and rightfully so. As I said at the time, you deserved it. You deserved it, but guess what? I'm going to go through my top threes, and these are a big reason as to why. And the first one, this is a player that in the live stream, I was so convinced I was going to bench him. I'll be honest with you. Jordan Dawson, my all-star card after last week, I thought there's no way I can play him this week, but something came to me 10 minutes before the game and thought, why do you have this all-star if you're not going to start him? And he pumps out 183 fantasy points in that outing, which then with his all-star was about 240. Fantastic. Dane Zorko, 154 as a bronze. What a season he's been having. Sam Flanders, the absolute GOAT of all forwards right now, 156 fantasy points. But my bottom three, I'll tell you what, it really is the reason I don't think I got first, but it's okay because I feel like a lot of coaches would have had these plays. Luke Ryan, 76. Isaac Ranking, 74, and Rowan Marshall with 72 fantasy points. So just those bottom dwellers, a lot of them this week in all honesty, and a lot of good names in there that you wouldn't expect. But Cal, let me throw it over to you. You tell me about the round that just was, your best three, your bottom three, and let's get into some other analysis.
Well, before you did, I don't know, did you say what rank you finished? Did you say that off the top? And did you say your score and where you're sitting overall? I'm sure people want to keep up to date with that. Flick us through those details.
Yeah, give me a second. Sorry, I actually didn't have it up in front of me. My rank for the round, I did say this. This was third, the best rank of my season so far. 2,790 points was able to do it for me. And I've jumped from 23 to 16 in the seasonal, which is honestly even better than my third ranking. So I popped out of that top 20. I'm right back in the money. I think I'm only 100 points off 10th place. That's how tight it is this year, though, and this season. So it's just one bad week, you can drop out of that top 20, and one good one, it could see you excel into the top 10 range. So, Cal, let me throw it to you. You can hear the excitement in my voice about all of that, but you go through your week.
Yeah, I almost want to let you just keep talking, so I'll get through mine pretty quickly. I had a busy weekend, so this was the least amount of footy I got to watch all season, and probably for the best, because I finished 56th, and I think I scored my lowest for the round, 2,571. But somehow I moved up 3 spots to 40th overall. So it seems like there are a few people taken out this week. With a few injuries and different things, I think everyone knows about Tom Stewart being the main one. I'm 750 points off top 10. So it's not terrible, but it is starting to move away. But my top three, Bradley Hill. So I backed him in for a monster score. So I backed him in after his monster score, and he backed it up with 118 points. He's now going to have people thinking about whether he's playable. So did you know he's actually averaging more than Tom Power this season?
I did, because I've got some news for you later. But yes, I've been keeping an eye on Bradley Hill.
Yeah, so he's doing quite well for himself, and he's going to be knocking on the door of some teams. Tristan Sherry, I made the brave call to fade English, #stupid call, and scored 142 points. So it wasn't his fault. 18 touches, 44 tap outs, and my man, I had to give it to Flanders. So he just, like you said, continues to be a gun. I'll give you a few people now. He's averaging more than Goulden, Rosie, Dunkley, Whitfield. Absolute weapon.
Insane.
My bottom three, Toby Green, 67. I'm done playing with him. I'm done. I keep trying to predict his big games. His matchup's not working. He's reminding me of Andy Brayshaw last year. I just kept playing, hoping he'd go big, and knowing that he is eventually going to get it together. Andy Brayshaw did eventually get it together last year, but I missed out on that as well because I'd stopped playing him. Let's hope that doesn't help with Toby Green, because I'm going to stop playing him from now. Rosie, 80 points, 112 is my prize card. Easily his worst game for the year, and easily in my bottom 3. And I also had Rowan Marshall in there as well. So I backed the wrong ruck, and are you happy that I did? I'm sure you are. Big win for English gang.
The biggest win for English gang. People were saying he didn't have that dog in him. He has that dog in him. But let's go. Let's get into our studs and duds of the round. And I'm rightfully back in my stud seat. I get to talk about the best players, and that's what I like to do when it comes to fantasy sports. So let's get into it. I'm going to talk about a player that Cal on our live stream absolutely roasted and said that he hadn't been fantasy relevant for 8 years, ladies and gentlemen. 193 fantasy points this week for Bailey Dale, having 29 kicks, 10 handballs, 15 marks, and a goal to round it off. That was it. Look, I don't blame you for saying what you said. It was a huge call, but to come out and respond on that exact night like that was just absurd. I want to know this, though. For anyone who's watching right now, did anyone start Bailey Dale? Did anyone get them in their top 7 defenders this week for their squad? I sure didn't. I know Cal didn't either. I want to know if you did, though. That's my question.
I reckon people might have, after the live stream on Thursday night when I jumped in and I said, do not play him, he's washed. I reckon a few people would have been like, you know what, this Cal guy's on fire. And snuck him in. So, yeah, if that was you, please let us know. I'm back to the dud. I don't like this as much, I'll be honest. Honourable mention to Kai Lohmann for taking out Tom Stewart. But I've got to give it to Lukey Ryan. Now, this one stings because Clark and Young in that same backline both turned up, and I was choosing between the 3 of them as I do every week. He just had 16 touches, no tackles, season low in marks. Mr. Chippies himself just could not find the ball, and the ball was back there enough because West Coast were absolutely dominating them. So Luke Ryan is this round's dud.
Fair enough as well. Yeah, he was definitely nullified on the weekend, which is very, very weird to see that, as you said, he loves a kick in, he loves a play on. So usually that floor is quite high, but this week, not so much. Cal, I said we weren't going to do this week, but I have to, because I'm going to give out a player designation. I don't want you to, because this award's going to I've got that dog in me. And that's going to none other than Tim English, the English gang. All right, here we go. He made Rowan Marshall look lost. He made him look like a little boy. Dominated him in every way possible, and proved to all the coaches that doubted, to all the haters out there like myself this round as well, that he's still the king of the rucks. Get his crown, put it on his head, because no one is better than Tim English on the day. That far yet. English scored 142 fantasy points. Marshall got a measly 72. He nearly doubled his score. Don't give up on the GOAT, because the GOAT will never, ever give up on you if you do that. So, Cal, I needed to get that off my chest. You know, that would have been sitting with you since last Thursday.
Yeah, I bet it had. I don't know. I still think Gaun's won, but yeah, I'm not in a position at the moment to slag off Timmy.
I can't wait for that matchup, though.
Can I give you an award just on the fly? I know you said we weren't going to do it because we got a shorter show. We got to get this one out. Can I give it to the washed ? And that's going to Bradley Dale. He made me look very silly. So shout out to Dale, but he'll feature in our show a little bit later on. So we'll save that for then.
You say Bailey Dale, Bradley?
Bailey Dale, sorry, not Bradley Dale.
I was
looking down at Bradley Hill.
Like, is there?
Yeah, I did not have.
Yes,
I had Bradley Hill in my
but
squad.
Cal,
not Bailey. Yes.
Take it away this week. I want to know your transfer market target. You're going to want to bounce back. You finished just outside the top 50. We know that every week that's our goal. What are you going to do for your squad this week?
So I had to think. I was on my high horse last week. I was fairly up and about. Don't know.
And if I remember correctly, you said I don't need to make any changes to my squad.
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to cut anyone. I wanted to keep the good vibes going. Didn't work. So this week, I'm going to admit that this year at this moment, you're a grade above me. You're playing well. You're playing well. I'm not saying that you are across, just in this moment. I'm out of form. I might be looking at the 2s. You could be looking, best and fairest in the 1s. So I'm actually gonna throw an audible here, and I'm gonna do something here on the fly you're not ready for. I've got 4 players I've got on my sell list, and I want to know what you think I should do with them. Now, I'm talking purely transfer market. I've got these cards, and I need to clear up some funds. I don't know who I want yet. I still want Harley Reid. I said that a few weeks ago.
So you want to sell these cards, or you want to potentially trade for a player?
I want to sell. I want to sell the. I need to free up some cash because I need to go back into the market and make a big splash. But in order to get that cash, I need to think about selling some of these boys. So I'm going to give you a name. I'm going to tell you they all, and the theme is they all had their season high on the weekend. And I want you telling me what you would do with the card. First up, season high, 144 points, 112 average, Patrick Cripps. What would you do with him?
I would sell. I would definitely sell high. It's two pretty good weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Last week played pretty well. I know Walsh dominated that game and it was the headliner, but Cripps has been doing his thing slowly and surely, and you know what he's like. But just this year with how the midfields are built, I think it's too stacked, and you don't want to be playing and streaming through a player like Cripps. I'd much rather get a player like Butters, for example, and put in there that spot instead.
There you go. So sell first up. Next up, season high, 153 points, Brodie Grundy.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with your Brodie Grundy cards? Should he be one I'm looking to sell?
I think you need to keep for matchup basis. I've been really bad at picking those matchups this year. I've had matchups where I thought Grundy was going to dominate, started him, didn't dominate.
His 2 biggest games I think have been against Maxi Gawn and Jared Witts.
Exactly.
He's not ganging up on the nuffies. Yeah.
Exactly, man. So I thought this week he would be nullified somewhat by Witts, and it would be a tougher day in the office. But my goodness, did he make that thought look silly in the end of that game? So I think keep him because he's going to have those weeks where you're going to want to stream him through your squad.
Number 3, Dan Houston, Port Adelaide, season high, 146, averaging 111.
I am not going to tell you that now because I'm going to tell you that later.
Hey, stay tuned. There you go.
I'll tell you later.
Last one, Bailey Dale, 193, season high. What do I do?
It's Bevo for me, mate. It doesn't matter about the stats. It doesn't matter about how they played. You just think, what does that role look like next week? And then what does that role look like in 5? Yes, he looked fantastic on the weekend.
What do I do? I need a definitive thing. Am I selling him?
So did Jack McRae.
Am I keeping him?
So did so many other dogs. I think sell high. In all honesty, that's my gut feel. Sell high on the performance. If you can get anything back for it, I would be looking at that sort of exit.
Perfect. That's what I'm going to do this week. Selling Cripps, selling Dale, hopefully free up some cash, and I'll come back in with a big splash of who I'm targeting next week. But what are you doing at the moment? You're right and pretty happy.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Well, I want to make comment that last week I told all coaches to go get Jai Caldwell, and back-to-back weeks now he's had 130-plus fantasy points. So if you started him like me, you're a genius. And if you don't, I definitely would still be targeting Jai Caldwell on the transfer market. That won't change for me, but I'm going to give you a new player this week. I'm going to the midfield, and this is a position that's been thriving this season. So it's been really tough to pick some of the best, but this is a gun player who is slowly getting it going back to their best form, and that's none other than Zachy Butters from your Port Power, Cal. Everyone knows about Butters, but I question this is how many coaches are starting him on a weekly basis, especially with how Rosie started this season. I don't think too many people would be giving Butters the nod over Rosie, but I want to question that this week, and I want to tell you that you should be looking at this because let's go in the comments. I want to know who's been starting him, but half of the games this season, 130 plus fantasy points, and that's 2 in back-to-back weeks. He's only played 6. 3 times he's got over 130. Back-to-back weeks now over the 130 mark as well. 14 kicks over his last 3 games. 12 handballs, 5 marks, 7 tackles. 3-game average, that's pretty bloody tasty to me. Butters is only just getting started in my opinion. And this is a player who you're going to want for not only your weekly competitions, but for his dynasty value as well. So don't look any further than Zach Butters for a start in your midfield because as I mentioned, I reckon the season's only just getting begun for that young gun, and he's going to have some monster performances coming up. So if you don't have a card, go target one, on our transfer market.
I like that. Namesake of the peanut butters, of course. Silver, $5.50. Gold, $7. Platinum, $10. So, yeah, there are a few goodies floating around for him.
And always the option to trade as well. Exactly. So, Could go get yourself a Zachary Butters.
Matchup matrix. Let's get into it this week. I've got 3 for you. Mids versus Richmond this week. Yeah, so no team scores more points against... Sorry, teams just have been feasting against Richmond in the midfield at the moment. This week, Melbourne. Do you trust Clayton Oliver? Do you trust Petrarca? They haven't been in anyone's best squads, but this is such a juicy matchup. Someone's going to be tempted to do it. I'm keen to see. I can see it going either way. And you know what? Because it's the Wednesday game, it's either going to make the start of your week or it's going to break your entire week. I can't wait to see which one it is. Number 2. Adelaide are the second hardest ruck matchup in the comp. This week they're playing North, which means Sherry. So he's out for me. Don't play him. It's a Gorn and English week. Stick with it. Don't think about fate. If you're going to go someone different, I'd be looking for a Marshall bounce back game, but I wouldn't be playing anyone outside of Gordon English this week in the ruck anyway. And number 1, you just spoke about this boy, but Port, I reckon, is going to bounce back. No team concedes more to mid forwards in the entire comp than the Saints, and Port's loaded with them.
Ooh.
Rosie, Butters, Horn Francis. What I reckon you do? Get one of them in your squad, and if they underperform, jump on the blame Ken train with me. Trust me, it's a fantastic train to be on. There's a lot of us here. It's crowded, but it's a fantastic train to be on.
Hey, fair enough. What was the matchup again? Sorry, Port versus...
Saints.
Saints. Okay. It should be a high scoring, in terms of fantasy points, game. 2 teams that...
Well, I thought it was going to be a bit more lockdown game against the Dogs last week, and that was obviously wrong, but because they got rolled. So, yeah, Saints are a tough one to pick at the moment because I think on their best, they're really good, and then they can just they're still a bit young, a bit inexperienced. So, but under lights at Adelaide Oval, which means coin flip.
Yeah, under lights, it's true. And honestly, back on the Saints point, I think Jack Sinclair and Isaiah Wanganeen-Miller have been pretty lucky that they didn't get put in any of our bottom 3s, or at least for dud of the round, because they've been really disappointing over the past couple of weeks as well. I'm sure heaps of people had one of those 2 in their defending group and wouldn't have been happy with at least the return in terms of performance.
Yeah, 78 for Sinclair, 79 for Wanganeen-Miller. It's kind of just... See, you say that, but I checked my squad Monday morning and there was just a bunch of 80s. So that's just... For me, that's just normal, mate. 80s are just part of it.
Fair enough. But let's get in to the Professor segment. This is my, at least, favourite segment of the show. This is when I take everyone back to school. We're here for our 7th week, round 7. Let's look into it with my best rank for the season so far. You might want to listen up. And I've got my teacher's pet being a good boy today. He's a little bit naughty last week. He was disrupting the class, but he's back to his best, and he's locked in for this lesson.
Definitely got a note.
They got a note in the diary, and he's come back in his best behaviour. How good is that? My highlight player is Dan Houston. Dan the man,
excited about this one.
Ken's favourite, and the defender who cracked into our All-Star squad last year. His 2023 season was fantastic, but 2024, I think coaches... They were worried. They were cautious when committing to Dan Houston for the season due to some rumours of him maybe spending some time on the wing and also the presumed emergence of a player like Kane Farrell. How was Dan Houston's 2024 report card going to look, and how would his performance be so far in the season? So let's go through the report card and I'll give my opinion as Cal wanted at the end, and skills are a B+ for me. He's pretty tidy in that defending group. He's really good at exiting by foot as well out of the D50, so I have to give that to him. His fitness is a B+. He's looking really, really good, especially over the past couple of rounds. He's really picked up his work rate and really picked up his involvement of getting his hands on that footy. Disappointment, I'm going to put it at a C+, and let me explain. First 4 games were definitely disappointing. I don't think he scored over 111 and 290 scores. So if you're looking at that, you're probably looking at an A for disappointment. But we've gone 130 and 146 fantasy points in back-to-back weeks now, which I thought has crept that down to a C+, because I'm looking at it, and if you started in the past 2 weeks, you would have had one of the best defenders for the round. Fantasy floor is a C+ as well, because the first 4 weeks, they speak volumes, but also the last 2, you have to give him some upside there. His fantasy ceiling, I'm going to make a big call right now. It's an A+ for me. He's already proved he can be an all-star over a season. And now he's just getting warmed up. So, you know, he's had the floor before. He's proved he can be part of the best 6. There's no reason he can't be part of the best 7 for this year with benches now included, Cal.
Definitely.
Ken to somehow ruin Houston, B+. I'm nervous of this possibility. I'm nervous of that role we spoke about on the wing. Could he be moved due to team needs, due to team requirements? Maybe. But with the way he's playing right now, I'm hoping, we should all hope that that is not going to be the case. We can't have that happening to our man Dan.
Well, I was going to say, just as a peer review input here, that's not going to happen because Ken doesn't change his plans. For all his credit, he's got one plan, and he sticks to it. So I don't think you need to worry about Houston moving around.
You're not nervous then? All right.
Not at all. Because for all Kenny's faults, he's been a great fantasy manager for us. So
as long as he keeps being a great fantasy manager, that's all I care about.
It's
So you definitely think a lot different. And my last grading for this report card, Houston, we have a problem. It's an A because he's about to start erupting in fantasy points. And Houston, we will have a problem when that happens. So make sure you get Dan Houston. And my opinion on him is that it's looking really good. I'm looking at streaming Dan Houston into my squad this week. I needed the proof in the pudding. I needed to see that he could get back to his best, that he could be part of the best 7 again, because I had him ranked in my top 5 defenders for the season during the preseason. And I know he started off slow, but I think that that's just the beginning of the season. Let's put that behind us. Dan Houston's ready to go. He's ready to get back to his best, and he's someone you must be targeting in our transfer market as well. So, Cal, keep your Dan Houstons. Don't be selling right now because we're only just getting started.
Yeah, I like it. Appreciate you looking ahead and figuring out who I was going to ask you questions on. That's fantastic. Dan Houston, he's still only 26. He comes across like he's a lot older than he actually is. But no, he still has a few more years down there. But like I said, that does mean he also has value. So maybe I was thinking about flipping him into someone else. But no, he's a good one. I hope for Port's sake he does start to erupt because we're a better team when he's running around out down back.
Oh, tell me about it, mate. But Cal, that's going to wrap us up for another installment of GameDay Squad's Aussie Rules Show. This was for round 7. And with a short turnaround this week, and with fantasy games only coming up as of tomorrow, when you're watching this, you better start setting your squads. You better start having a look at the players that you're going to want to start, because it's never more important than now to get it all right. There's a long season ahead, but you've got to get started now if you want to start cracking into some of those rewards. And Cal, you mentioned we got weekly competitions on GameDay Squad. We're handing out prizes every single week. And that's the best part about it. You can have a dud week like Cal, but you can look forward to the next one because there's always going to be another one ahead.
There is. And for me, that means a lot more chances to try and claw you back, but also try and get in some of those prizes, get some of those packs, and if you're lucky enough, some of those dollars.
100%. Well, if you made it this far in the video, smash a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, because we're going to continue to drop fantasy content every single week and help you all get game day ready. Well, that's going to do us for right now, everyone, and we'll catch you all in our next one. Peace out, everyone.